People of Lebanon are already celebrating, since they think that soon there will be some kind of peace treaty, or at least temporary peace between Israel and Lebanon. And among the Israelis, there are quite a number of people who are very cautious and afraid that Hezbollah will simply rearm and become again a great danger on the northern border. So, in my humble opinion, actually, the current peace agreement is a good thing. I absolutely believe that we should give peace a chance, and given that Hezbollah is much weaker now and it's not particularly popular in Lebanon, and the Lebanese see how Israel was able to target, in the vast majority of cases, specifically people affiliated with Hezbollah. It did not target any Christian Lebanese or Sunnis, and even those Shiites that are not part of Hezbollah, unless they're also part of some terrorist organization that was working together with Hezbollah. So given that most of the Lebanese right now do not perceive Israel as enemy number one, they might not particularly like us, and chances are the actual true peace between Lebanon and Israel is not going to happen right now, although who knows, maybe in the future this is also a possibility. This would be really great for everyone. But at the very least, before the war goes even further, right now the situation is that Hezbollah is relatively weak, and who knows if it will really be able to recover. And from what I understand, the peace treaty does include the possibility for Israel, if it sees that Hezbollah is again rearming and again trying to make various traps and the possibility of invading the northern border, making something similar to October 7th from the north, then Israel will have the right. It will be able to apply to Americans and others according to this treaty, and will have the right to target it again. So the real hope is, I think peace should be given a chance. It absolutely is, according to Jewish value, it's always the ideal. We always want peace if it's possible. War is only the last resort, and therefore, given that right now Hezbollah is relatively weak, and there's also a greater chance that maybe the captives, those who are sitting in Gaza in horrible conditions, who knows how many of them are alive, but those who are still alive, there's a chance to maybe make some kind of deal with Hamas. But as long as Hamas thinks that Hezbollah is still fighting Israel, they're encouraged by this. But once there's peace with Hezbollah and there's only Hamas left on their own, maybe they'll be willing to give up the hostages. Maybe it will be possible to make some kind of a deal saving the hostages. So I think that in general, while maybe strategically in the long run we might regret it one day if Chas v'Shalom Hezbollah rearms, but at this point in time we could only see what we see. There's a Talmudic statement that regarding the special blessings that our sages instituted, there is a special brocha, Hatov Yamitiv, when you hear good news, and there is a special brocha, Dayana Emet, true judge, when we hear bad news. When we find out that something horrible happened, we're supposed to say a blessing to Hashem. Even when things are bad, we have to bless Hashem. For instance, if somebody died, a close relative died, we say Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Dayana Emet. Today, it's customary for those who are mourning to say it during the actual burial. They rip their clothing and they say this brocha. But really, the brocha originally was instituted as soon as you hear the news. So the Talmud tells us an interesting thing. What if it's something that looks good right now but can bring bad effects in the end? Or vice versa? Is this good or bad? So the answer is you go by what's right now. If it looks like it's something good, even if it can have adverse effects, we make the blessing according to what it is right now. And similarly, if it looks like it's something bad but may have some benefits in the future. So in my humble opinion, if there is peace made with Lebanon, obviously it's good for Lebanese, no question about that. But is it good for Israel? Right now it looks to me that it's a good thing. Maybe in the long run it might turn out, we may look Chas v'Shalom later in a few years, and if Hezbollah is again rearmed and there is again a bloody war, maybe worse than today, Chas v'Shalom, we will be saying, okay, that was a huge mistake that we didn't finish Hezbollah then, and there was no that we went with this agreement. Maybe that will happen. We don't know, but maybe that won't happen. How about the other possibility? Let's say there is a reasonable chance, I would say at least 50% chance, that down the line, let's say 5 years from now, there will be peace between Lebanon and Israel. The Lebanese will disarm Hezbollah and will look at Israel, if not as friends, at least as allies, maybe even sign some kind of a peace agreement. Even cold peace is a lot better than hot war. So even if Israel will have peace with Lebanon on the level that it has peace with Egypt and peace with Jordan, it's also a huge accomplishment already. I'm not even saying if it has similar peace agreement with Lebanon like it has with the United Arab Emirates or one of the other Gulf countries of Abraham Accords. Those peace agreements are really good. They're excellent peace agreements, and it seems that the Arabs living in those areas are completely sincere, or at least there's a lot going on between Israel and them. It's a beneficial. It's a tremendously beneficial thing. It started under the Trump administration and continued by the Biden. It's definitely good for everybody, this kind of peace agreements. So Lebanon could become again a fantastic country as it used to be before it let PLO in. It could become what they used to call Singapore of Middle East, or Jubal of the Middle East. It used to be a really great country. And as long as they're not being ruled mainly by Hezbollah, a terrorist militant organization, then there is a real chance for it to somehow make peace. But it's not going to be Israel who's going to supervise all this. Israel has no way to make peace within Lebanon. That's going to be up to the Lebanese and whoever else will be the players there. But at least there is some reasonable possibility, let's say it's 50%, that down the line in a few years, Israel and Lebanon will have some kind of a reasonable peace agreement. And just to give this a chance, I think it would be a great thing. I think that's what we should do, and I absolutely think that we should support and be happy if some kind of peace agreement in the meantime appears, as long as, of course, the other side will keep that peace agreement. From what I hear, there are some parts of Hezbollah that are not even accepting it, even after they're losing and after it's apparently their heads, and Iran, which usually makes all the decisions for them, already told them that they should make peace. But it seems that there are some fighters there that still say that they're not going to accept it. They just want to fight till the very end. So if that's what's going to happen, obviously Israel is going to kill them. But if, in fact, there will be some way to, in the meantime, make peace with Hezbollah and with Lebanon, then I think there is a real hope, at least there is a real possibility, as long as Israel is vigilant and watches that Hezbollah does not break its commitments, then there is a possibility that this peace may actually last, in my humble opinion. So we'll hope for the best and pray for the best, and we'll always pray for peace, of course. All our blessings, all our prayers always end with shalom. The blessing of the priests, Kohanim, end with shalom. The blessings of Shemona Esrei end with shalom. There's just two kinds of peace. One peace is real peace, ideal peace, when everybody lives with happiness and with good intent towards each other. The other peace, unfortunately, that's the only peace that Israel so far has had, and that is the peace from strength, when the enemies are just afraid to attack it, and they realize that the price will be too high for them to pay. And that's how the peace also can exist. In fact, most of the time throughout the world, that's how peace is being achieved. In most cases, except with rare certain areas of the world, in some cases in Europe for a while, there was peace of the first kind. And even there, I'm not sure it was the first kind of peace, but at least it wasn't from the point of strength. It was more of some kind of a unity of sorts, and the idea of a European Union also was based on it. But even in Europe, you see that in the end of the day, there are fightings, and it may only become worse in the future. Who knows? So the truth is that most of the history of the world is such that the only peace possible is when there's somebody who is strong enough, and the others know that you attack us, we'll attack back, and you'll pay the price. And that's also peace. At least it's an absence of war. That's a second definition of peace. And that's at least some level of peace. So whichever way the history will now go, the peace with Lebanon may become the first kind of peace. I don't think it's very likely, but there is some chance. The peace with Lebanon can be the second kind of peace. That's a lot more likely, at least that they'll be afraid to attack and that Hezbollah is not going to try to experiment on this. And if they do experiment, that Israel will immediately strike back anytime they're going to put rockets again near Israeli border or dig tunnels or whatever it is. Israel will have a right, according to this peace agreement, to strike them if UNIFIL and Lebanese army is not able to. So then Israel will do whatever is needed. And that would bring the second kind of peace, the peace from strength. And there is a possibility also that Chas v'Shalom could bring more war and stronger war if Israel ignores later and becomes again chooses the policy of always avoiding war at any cost. That would actually lead to another war that may be worse than the previous one. So this is a third possibility, in which case, of course, we'll regret that we ever made peace. But like I said, nobody knows the future except Hashem, so we could only do the best we can. And given the circumstances, in my opinion, we should choose the peace in the meantime and hope for the best and pray and do whatever is needed to be done to make sure that the border is being watched, that they're not even going to be caught the way they were caught on October 7th, caught by surprise, but rather we'll be watching and prepared for war. As a Nobel laureate, who is an Orthodox Jew in Israel, Professor Ullman, keeps saying, in the name of a Roman proverb, I think, that if you want peace, prepare for war. Right? When they're afraid of you, it's a more likely case that there will be peace. But if you're not ready, and they think they could just kill you and destroy you, then unfortunately, in the neighborhood where Israel is, a lot of people there would want to destroy it if they think that they could catch Israel off guard. So that's why, for the most part, the peace so far that Israel had enjoyed, to some extent or another, was peace through strength. That's the only thing that seems to be working. One day, of course, we believe in the times of Mashiach that the nations will, by themselves, agree on living peacefully, and there will be no more war at all. There will be no need for war because people will just be live and let live. But this is going to be only in the distant future. We cannot just expect this to happen right now unless we see real changes. And if, for instance, all the neighbors of Israel will accept its existence, and then there will be real peace. But as long as they're hoping to fight, there's only second kind of peace possible, peace through strength, when they're afraid. So, like I said, at the moment, I think that this agreement sounds like the best that Israel could have at this time, and we'll see how it goes in the future. May Hashem help us all.